Welcome to Profits. First episode of all time, major merger in the podcast industry. Sitting here with Thanny Profits. I'm Ty. Stay hot, Ty. Now, Than, get us rolling.
Yeah, Ty. First episode ever. Woke up with a different vibe today, so I figured I'd take the intro. I walked out to my car. For listeners who don't know, I live right downtown Milwaukee, Water Street.
Heart of the city.
Heart of the city. I walk out to my car this morning, and I have a ticket on my window. I've been playing around with the parking police, like where can I park, where can I not overnight. It's a little bit of a game. Today I woke up and I thought to myself, I have a fantasy football draft tonight. I have the first ever podcast with Ty, and nothing can ruin my day. I walked out and I had a ticket sitting on my window, and it really tested me.
Bad vibes off the rip.
And so I open it, I look at it, whatever, and I say, this isn't going to ruin my day. On a typical day, I'm listening to like Five Finger Death Punch on the way to school. I'm just very upset.
Yep.
It almost put me in a better mood because I was literally like, you know what? Even a ticket, so one of the most frustrating things in life, I just brushed it off. That's how I knew today was going to be a good day, Ty. And man, I'm excited to be here. Thanny Profits is back in the building. Should we get into our betting history?
I mean, it's only up from here, and this podcast to make profits, so that ticket's really nothing to a man like you. Yeah, let's get into the history. I'll go first. Been doing this, been in the business for about 2+ years. Actually, I'd say 3+ years. Now, the good thing about it is my pockets ain't hurting. We're doing all right.
Yep.
You never know. You got to learn a couple things. You got to find your way. I'll just talk about what you're going to love me for is I hit the whale plays. And by whale plays, I mean not what you think by whale plays. I mean, I don't put anything up and they give me a whale because I win. I put up, 1 unit, half a unit. I'm bringing in like 50 units. Case in point, Corbin Burns, Cy Young, $10 gives me 500.
Yep.
Just little things like that keeps me going. I had a playoff parlay, some props, Packers, Buccaneers game 2 years back. That one brought me a bunch. So
Ty, you are the long shot king. I am. I don't know anybody that hits longer shots than you. I will 1,000% back that up.
And the thing about staying hot is you lose a couple, but you just stay hot, and then you hit, and then that's it. And then you're up, you rub it in everyone's face, everyone who doubts you. I heard this very inspirational quote one day. It said, "You're only a loser in gambling when you stop."
No, it's true. Ty, you've always been, you go on these streaks, and sometimes on these downhill streaks, eventually, it seems like there's never an end, and eventually it's like, God, it's got to come back. You'll hit like a plus 5,000 one to bring you right back to even. It actually happens more than it should, and it's impressive.
And from there, we're hot, and we go.
Yep.
So, also, you may know me as the guy who took Devontae first touchdown every single week in 2020 and won, I think, 8 of the weeks.
I know you for that.
Plus big money. I mean, a lot of people in the community know me for that. So that's kind of my intro. Thanny Profits, why do we care about you?
Thanny Profits has a very simple system, 3 plays every week. My background is really coming from fantasy, and fantasy football, it's where my pride lies in the football scope, in the football world. And so every week I analyze not just the slate of games, but specifically the players from a fantasy standpoint. Like, what fantasy matchups do I like? Who got a lot of volume last week? I'm a big volume guy when it comes to running backs and receivers, targets, carries for both of them. And so through that, and then the eye test, I pick out my favorite plays for the week. 3 plays. They're all locks. That's the important thing. 3 locks every week. The combination lock is the first one. That is typically a 2-unit play. We'll do it every week, but and then Deadbolt is second. And then the absolute strongest lock in the world that. And I won't play with you. Typically, these locks hit. Ty, you have a history of seeing these.
Facts.
Yeah. I think last year they were 5-1. Mortis locks were.
Yep.
And so these Mortis locks listeners, it's Thanny Profits for a reason. They're gonna give you profits. I'm excited for another year. A lot of times they say Vegas always wins. You hear that a lot. We're here to simply prove that that's not true. When you put in the time, when you put in the work, anything can happen. The Mortise Locks, they're here for your profit, for your rent, for your groceries, whatever it is that you have to pay. The Mortise Locks are here to stay.
And listeners, I want you to know we're going to keep ourselves honest this year. So we'll be tracking, we'll be going through what happens.
Yep.
So you'll know if we're hot or if we're not. Lucky for you, I'm always hot. Lucky for Thanny profits. I mean, he always getting profits.
Yep.
So the Mortise Locks last year, 5-1, so only 6 weeks. Great news for the listeners. They're coming every week this week.
They're coming
year.
every week this week, yep. And just to update the listeners on my most recent, typically it was really over the summer, it was baseball. But I just started tracking for the first time my bets on Action app because I just love the graph that they do. It's just aesthetically pleasing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and the green.
She curvy.
Yeah, the green and like the gray that they have on that app, it really works. Anyway, my stats, 11.83 return on investment. With a 34-41-2 record. So, but here's why it's important. So I have lost more than 50%. It's 45% hit rate. But on my mortises, on my 5-unit plays, I went 5-1. So that's why my return on investment is so high. A message to the listeners: take the mortises. Take the mortises. We have proof. At least over the summer, they've been hitting. We're going to stay hot, Ty. We're going to keep that energy.
Always.
And guess what? These mortises, we're going to carry that momentum over on into the football season, and we're going to pay rent with it.
Yeah, and full transparency, I'm definitely under 50% as well. I would guess I'm hovering between 35 and 40, but it's not, I guess, about hitting those. So I would tell people you're always battling with the book. You never really have the edge. Minus 110 standard, all that stuff. So you got to go greater than 50% if you're playing those. Some people tell you not to do parlays. Some people tell you to avoid all that stuff. I think this podcast is completely different. We're telling you, you find something, you hit it heavy. We love the plus sign. So that's kind of the history for us. And we want to kind of just get into some season futures then on what we kind of like. And no surprise, some of these are coming at plus money. Some of them are just we identified a number that's going to hit. So, Than, run us through your first one. I know you're loving Broncos country.
Yeah, Broncos country is going to ride this year. Simply because I don't see too much of a weakness in their team. Their O-line's great. Russell Wilson's in town. They have Cortland Sutton, who I think very highly of, coming off of injury. Jerry Jeudy, we know, had an ankle last year, but we all know what he can do. And then you have a great two-headed monster in the backfield. And by the way, they have a top 10 defense. I mean, on paper, they really should be money. And that's why Broncos, if you go on the DraftKings app, this line is so money. Over under 3 wins in their division this year. And I get it's the toughest division in football. There's nobody debating that. But 3 wins, think about it. If they go 3-3 in the division, the bet will push. Okay? And who really cares if a bet pushes? You'll just get your money back. For you to lose your money on this bet, they have to go 2-4. This team that I think is better than the Raiders, and then they're right there with the Chargers and Chiefs. You know, I think Vegas is even a little high on the Chiefs this year. So we'll see, but for the bet to lose, they have to go 2-4 in their division. I don't think there's a chance in hell that happens. So I love Broncos over 3 division wins. That's my favorite play for them. Other than that, Broncos plays in general as well are money, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But that's my future for them.
A lot of people. There's stuff to look for there. A lot of people talking with kind of question marks on the Broncos, and that just being obviously we got a new coaching staff, we got a new quarterback in Denver.
Well, let's look at the Rams last year. The Rams got a new quarterback, and they went and won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they brought in a proven winner, just put him on a better team. So, yeah, I mean, we know Russ can win. We know he rides. So I like the play. I think the question has to be, did the Raiders get that much better? And are the Chiefs falling off? Because, in my opinion, I think the Chiefs might take last in that division. I don't really think that's like the hottest take in the world. I've been hearing it, but they've lost a lot themselves that maybe just doesn't get talked about. They've lost leaders and all that. So, and I think from the Rams' perspective, I just think that maybe they take a step back. So I think that's a gettable bet. I like the play. Yeah. Broncos country, let's ride.
Yeah, and how fun is that to say every Sunday? If you got
every Sunday,
if you got something down on the Broncos, you're saying that.
Yeah, so my season future I like. Aggressive plus money play here. Funny graphic came out today on NFL Network on all their experts picking their Super Bowl champion. And who do you think that every expert in the graphic picked to win the Super Bowl? Did you see this or no?
I did. They picked the Bills.
They all picked the Bills.
The Bills.
So that is an automatic curse. I'm sorry, Bills. Like, this season's going to be tough now because everyone thinks you're winning.
Yeah.
I got the Dolphins to win the AFC East at plus 430.
Wow.
It's a complete, like, it's throwing a dart out there. But they brought in talent. We know that they did that. It's, do you believe Tua can do something about it?
Yep.
I think Mac Jones takes a step back. I think the Bills are going to be really good. I don't know that that's a easy play or anything. I just think, honestly, what I'm really valuing this year is Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle combination. I think that's going to make it really easy for Tua. And I'm riding with the Dolphins myself then. I think they're going to go get that division.
You know what I think people forget about the Dolphins is that their end of the year last year, they won like 8 straight games or something to finish the year.
Yeah, it was something crazy like that. They had like no wins early and they made a push. So
They got out. I think they hit their over on wins after starting like, I don't know if it was 0 and like whatever, but they started extremely cold and then they won like 8 straight.
I think,
Kind of like that.
I think just I might as well play this one as well. I'm going to go Dolphins over wins. I think that's at 8.5 or 9.5. We'll fact check that. We'll put it down when we track. But I'm going to play that as well because for them to win the division, they got to get that. So I like the Dolphins this year. And those are kind of. I think it's easy for us. When I was looking for what team do I want to root for, I like how both of us kind of naturally went outside the division. I went AFC. I couldn't even be. I can't even, well, you went AFC as well, but, it's fun to just pick another team that you don't really have to care about, as far as your own team.
Yep. For the listeners out there, I am a Bears fan. I actually feel like I should have got that off my chest a little earlier. I know, but I'm a Bears fan through and through, and you will never change my mind.
And I'm Go Pack Go. Yeah. So what a natural transition. We are pros already in the biz. Yep. Let's talk about our favorite Bears props.
Okay. Yep. So for the season this year, it's Mooney and it's Justin Fields. Their connection's going to be phenomenal. And even if the connection isn't phenomenal, which I believe 1,000% it will be, Mooney's going to get an extreme amount of targets. Yeah. It's going to be silly. Luke Getsy is our new coordinator who has already gone on paper saying that he's going to run the offense through Justin Fields. And we saw that in the preseason. And you can see Fields' improvement. And I get preseason. I don't want to be that guy that thinks preseason is the biggest measuring stick in the world. But he looked great in preseason. His QBR was like 148 in the preseason. It was money. And Darnell Mooney is one of the fastest players in the league, and he's a hell of an athlete. So I'm excited to see him. Last year he had just under 1,000 yards, I believe it was. We'll have to fact check exactly how many yards he had last year.
Maybe I can get you that.
Yeah, pull that up. But I believe this prop is just extremely undervalued for how many targets he's going to get. And with Fields going into his second year, which is statistically the second year for a quarterback is like the showing year for a quarterback on how much he's going to improve and how good he's going to be. I think Fields takes a huge step this year behind a brand new O-line, and Mooney is the biggest beneficiary of that.
Mooney would have cleared the over for this year by 100 yards. He had 1,055. So,
yep. And I anticipate a better year for him. I really do.
Yeah, I like Mooney. He's a guy that I kind of like just coming out. I don't know. There's something about him that I like. So
yep.
I'm all in on that. And then the prop that I identified, I mean, this one seems so easy to me that I think it could hit by like week 6. Yep. I mean, I don't, there's something I'm missing here, but Justin Fields over 3.5 rushing touchdowns. I get your young quarterback. Maybe somewhere in the organization they don't want him running as much this year, which is fine. But I mean, you saw the Eagles last year with the guy like Jalen Hurts, and the guy used his legs when he got to the red zone. And I think the same thing's going to happen with Justin Fields. You can't take the competitive nature out of a player like him. I just see him diving at a lot of pylons. I see him getting over 3.5 rushing touchdowns. I think that's going to be pretty easy.
I like the pick, Ty. One thing that just came out actually yesterday from Bears Country.
Talk to me.
They're replacing the grass with a new style of grass.
You're kidding me.
I'm not. Yeah. Thank you. So if we look up the article, I believe the old grass was like Bermuda green.
Ugh.
And yeah, just
Hate that grass.
puke everywhere. And the new grass is this new grass. It was grown out in Southern California. They had like 5 semis ship in 100 and like how many ever yards of grass into Soldier Field, and it is going to be ready for Sunday against the San Francisco 49ers. The grass is more dense, and so you can grip a little bit better. Justin Fields is going to be the biggest beneficiary of the new grass this year.
Not an official pick, but now we're looking at the over.
Looking at the over, yeah.
All right. 2 players that we're kind of interested in seeing, both guys kind of coming off injury, I guess you'd say.
Yep.
So first one we want to talk about is Travis Etienne. So Than and I, good friends outside the podcast studio, and another one of our great friends, James Robinson, know him personally. Yep. So this Travis Etienne draft pick rubbed us the wrong way. Weren't happy about it, supporting our good friend, but there's a reason they picked this guy in the first round. I realize the coaches that are there now aren't the ones who picked him, but they have an asset. They have a young running back. I think they have to use him. Now, you might think, so you're both going over. That isn't quite the case, but we have logic behind it. So I'll go first. James Robinson, our dear, dear friend, great friend of ours.
Yep.
James Robinson, good friend of ours.
We know him.
We know James Robinson. He is a great rushing running back. The guy just sees the gaps, hits them well, played a great rookie year, undrafted, low money. Why do you go get a running back then? You go get a running back because you want someone to complement him. Something like Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, perhaps. They got their A.J. Dillon, let's say, in James Robinson. You want the pass-catching back, you go get Travis Etienne. I got him over 299.5 receiving yards. I think he's going to be a weapon in the receiving game. He has to be for this draft pick to make any sense. So I like that prop this year.
And to add to that, Ty, did you see they traded Laviska Shenault?
Saw that.
Yeah, so Laviska's gone. And so
another good friend of ours.
Yeah, another good friend of ours. And so with Laviska gone, I think Etienne is going to play a big role as he's a receiving back. They have him there to catch the football. They don't have him there to run in between the tackles. That's not what he's there for. And so I think a lot of times we're actually going to see him line up in that role that Laviska was in. And that could be taking end arounds. That could be little screen passes to him on the outside in the slot. I think a lot of times we're going to see James and Etienne on the field at the same time. Yeah. And, so over 300 receiving yards, that's hardly, what's he got to average, like 40 a game, 30 a game?
Yeah, it's nothing. And I mean, you almost think in the season, if he can stay healthy the whole time, you don't think he's going to rip at least like 150-yard screen pass or something.
Oh.
Like it seems like way too low. You see some of the other props on receiving running backs. I think it gets identified there.
Yep. I like the call. And so my call is just on the other side of that. It's under his rush yards. It's under 750 rush yards, which, for the same reasons. I think he's going to line up a lot on the outside, and I think James is going to, especially later on in the year, maybe towards after the first month as he gets back from the Achilles, and he gets fully healthy. I think that he's going to be there in between the tackles guy, and Etienne's going to be that guy on the outside.
Yeah, and something you kind of brought up there with James, both these guys coming off injury, you have to think they're going to both be in the mix, and how they're used maybe is going to be cautious. So you'd think Etienne, maybe we're not going to see him running the ball as much, which gives way to James, who has had a great recovery. Again, great friend of ours. Can't believe how quickly he recovered from that Achilles.
Yeah. I mean, the last time we talked to him, it was this summer, and I asked him how his rehab was, and he said, I think I'm going to be back by week 1, and I didn't believe him.
Yeah.
And here we are, week 1, just on the ticker yesterday, it said, James Robinson to be cleared for week 1.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's impressive. Most people don't come back that fast, and he's back, and it's awesome.
All right, and then let's get into the last maybe player we're talking about here, Saquon Barkley. We're on opposite sides of the coin with this guy. Yep. Take us away on what you're thinking here.
Yep. So I've been high on this. And so, like I said earlier, I like to look at volume. I like to predict volume, and I think that's the greatest, pre-stat or what you look at for a guy to eventually pop off. He's gonna get so many touches in that offense, it's gonna be ridiculous. He doesn't have any competition. He's gonna be there all 3 downs every time. I get the offense hasn't been good, but it hasn't had him, and Daniel Jones hopefully can continue to improve. In terms of receivers, it's not like they're going to be out there passing the ball. Kadarius Toney, Wan'Dale Robinson, like these are guys, they're not proven. So I think this offense is going to run through Saquon this year. And over 1,300 rushing plus receiving yards. I like him as a rusher, obviously more than a receiver, but even in his dump downs, I see him having at least 200 receiving yards this year off of dump downs and screens. So Saquon, he's been healthy for a long time. It's not like he's just getting back from an injury. He's been healthy. He's gone on podcasts saying he's in the best shape of his life. He's ready to just tear it up. And I know Twitter's kind of been on the Saquon train lately. And you know, whenever a train happens like that, I hate, you know, hopping on it. But I will say I've been on it before the Twitter train happened, just to, you know, make sure everyone knows that I wasn't riding the bandwagon. Yeah, day one. So I'm on the over, Ty. Interested to see why you don't like the over.
All right, I'm going to throw some numbers your way here. Saquon Barkley, yards from scrimmage in his first season as a rookie, 2028. 16 games played. Very impressive. Wow. Very impressive. That over hits easy. Sophomore year, 22-year-old, plays in 13 games, still hits the over for you. 1441. Still hits it actually pretty easy still.
I'm loving it.
Third season, plays in 2 games, 94 yards from scrimmage. And then his fourth season, plays in 13 games, like his second year where he hit 856 yards from scrimmage. I think Saquon's good. My play on this is the under on the same bet you have, and it is 100% an injury play. So if he stays healthy, I know I'm losing. So, you know, I'm that guy. I'm betting on injury here.
Yeah.
But I don't think he stays out there. I think the points that you said, you know, him playing first, second, and third down, I think that's what they want. I think that's what he wants. I don't know that he can do it. So that's just what I'm rolling with. But I think if he stays healthy, that hits.
Yeah.
I'm just going injury play.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. I mean, he's been injured for sure. My thing, and I thought about injury. My thing with the injury is he's been healthy all offseason. He's been healthy for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was an ankle last year. So, like, it's not like it was an ACL. It's not like it was an Achilles. It was an ankle. Right. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, it was he got rolled up on. Like, it wasn't open field. So, yeah, I mean, that's fair. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, this is hypocritical for sure. Because if it was my guy, I'd love it. But the fact that he said, like, he's ready to fuck shit up or whatever he said, that makes me love this play. He's going to get injured.
He's mad. He's mad. He's going to be running hard, which hopefully doesn't hurt him.
Speaking of playing injured, I'm playing injured, sore throat. W's in the comment section, please. If you ever hear me lose my voice, I'm playing injured. So, final couple things. I just have 2 other ones I wanted to call out. Don't need to spend too much time on it. Just want it on record. Chris Olave, Offensive Rookie of the Year, plus 1,000. Got that one placed. Deshaun Watson, under 18.5 passing touchdowns. He's going to play in 6 games. For this to hit, he has to average, obviously, a hair over 3 passing touchdowns a game. I don't think he does it. He hasn't played when he comes back, nearly 2 years. I don't think this guy's that good anymore, and I think away teams are going to be giving him hell when he's out there, so I like that play.
Yep. Good plays, Ty.
Now, a seamless segue to our segment that you guys are just going to love. Hey, good work out there. That was nice.
Yeah, hey. Good work, Ty.
Producer Matt, how we doing?
Killing it on the 1s and the 2s.
All right. We're back. Profits. Now, Than, hit me with it.
Blindside.
Bang.
And we're off to Ty. This was my idea. Just going to say it.
Hit me with it.
Blindside question. Each week we are going to come in with a question that I have not revealed to Tyler yet.
I'm in the dark.
He is in the dark.
I'm getting
blindsided. Yeah, we're geniuses. Anyway, Blindside. Ty, I have a question for you. And this honestly just came to me as I was driving this week, and I thought it would be perfect. It revolves around Kyler Murray.
Uh-oh.
You know, the topic of best athletes in the world, best athletes of all time. We don't talk about Kyler Murray because it's not like he's an MVP of the NFL yet. But let's talk about this. He was drafted 9th overall in the same year that he won the Heisman Trophy. 4 years before that, he was in high school. In Texas, he was a 3-time state champion. He won 3 Texas state football championships. Vince Young is one guy who never did that. No quarterback coming out of Texas has ever done that. So he went 3 state championships in a row.
Yeah.
And then he went to Oklahoma and he played baseball, where he had a extremely good career. I looked up his college stats where he hit 300 his senior year, 10 jacks in 50 games. So he got drafted 9th overall. He could be in the MLB right now being
9th overall as a baseball player.
And then in the same year, he got drafted. Was it 1st overall?
Yep.
1st overall in the football draft. So he got drafted 1st overall and 9th overall in 2 different sports. Let's pretend that he did continue to play both. Where do you see him lining up amongst some of the greats that played 2 sports?
All right, so, wow, you really blindsided me there. You have guys who have gotten drafted in both. I don't think anyone who's gone as high in one or the other. Russell Wilson comes to mind. Football, baseball. Pat Connaughton comes to mind. Basketball, baseball. As an all-time great, if he could play both, I think baseball's so hard to judge because of the process to get there, and because you're even the number 1 pick doesn't mean you're going to be anything. This year in the MLB, not going to remember his name, but a pitcher that went 1 overall like 13 years ago just made his MLB debut.
Wow.
So it's not easy to get up there. But what you like about Kyler is his speed. Obviously, he has an arm, playing quarterback. Mm-hmm. I believe he was a middle infielder, I think.
Yeah, he was.
So, I just see the fit there. I think more than the other 2 I just named, Russell Wilson and Pat Connaughton, I think he's a major play there. It would be impossible for me to put him above Bo Jackson or Deion Sanders.
Can't quite do that yet. And here's what initially brought it to mind was, I thought, what if Kyler went and played baseball after his football career is done? Because when your football career is done, a guy like him, like, he relies on his athleticism so much. Like, what if he gets dinged up a few years? He's like, screw it, I'm going to go play baseball now. And he all of a sudden has like a couple all-star years in baseball. Like, he's a stud in baseball. Like, he would have been a 3-time state champion in high school in the hardest state in the country, goes and wins a Heisman, and then he goes and is a hell of an NFL football player.
Yeah.
And then he goes and is an all-star in baseball. Like, let's say he did that. Where do you line him up amongst these greats?
If he did that, again, not knowing the numbers, I think if he wins an MVP in football, I don't need to see a Super Bowl, but an MVP. Mm-hmm. But I would like to see him get to the championship, not Super Bowl, just NFC Championship.
Yeah. Make it like a successful run with his team a little bit.
Yeah. And maybe do that in the MVP season, and then see him in baseball. If he could get a Gold Glove or hit around 300 and be a respectable, like, day in, day out player, I think he's definitely top 3 all time.
Yeah. Him, Deion, and Bo, I feel like if he were to do that, like, him, Deion, and Bo are like the 3 multi-sport athletes.
Right. Yeah. No, well, yeah, he would for sure be top 3. So I guess the argument would be I'd need to look into it more from that, but yeah, definitely possible.
Yep. Yeah, no, I
like that blind side.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a blind side. It was an epiphany. I was like, oh my God, what if Kyler goes and plays baseball? Like, he technically could do that.
Yeah, I like the play of him doing that too, because I think he will probably have some injury issues. So it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. That guy just signed a huge contract. This contract gets played through. Let's say he signs, I don't know what year that puts him at. Let's say then they want to prove a deal, like a little 2-year big money deal. After that, he's still injured, not really able to get another contract. Team gives up on him. Why not?
Yeah. Now, here's a question. I don't know how this works. I don't know if you're going to know, but because the A's drafted him with that 9th overall pick, do the A's have, like, is he just a free agent, or do the A's have some type of ownership of him still?
I would guess they still have his rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he'd go play for the A's.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Let's get a jersey.
All right. Hey, let's get an applause for the kid for the first ever blindside.
Blindside. Thank you.
All right. Now, we know we've been really damn good so far. The idea is to keep this a little shorter going forward, probably. So the second half of the show here, we're going through our week 1 picks and our locks. So I think I'm just going to go kind of quick through my picks. Than doesn't have picks, so then we can just get to the locks. Something I'm looking at, I want on my card, Packers at Vikings under 47. I mean, if you don't remember this, the Saints murdered the Packers last year in week 1, 38-3. I don't know that I see the Packers losing this game, but I do see it being slow. This is a divisional game. This is in Minnesota. I think the Packers are the better team. I like the unders, I guess, peek behind the curtain. I like the unders when the better team goes to a divisional opponent at their place. I like the underplays in those situations, just generally. So this is week 1, too, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't play in the preseason. Everyone else is down to the 3 preseason games now. You'll see later some numbers on Aaron Rodgers with one of my locks. So I like that under. Another pick of mine, the Giants at the Titans. I got the Titans -5.5. I think we were talking about with Saquon a little bit. The Giants team's going to be really bad. I like the coaching hire, but I think the Titans are still going to be a solid team, and they have a coach who's been doing it for a little bit now and proven success even when he's doubted. This game's in Tennessee. I like the Titans -5.5 here.
Yep.
And then the last thing I'm going to kind of get at before we get to our locks is something I'll do weekly, the Stay Hot teaser. Teasing 2 teams, not huge on teasers. I've honestly not had much success with these, but I was doing some diving this offseason. Found some things I'm going to do, some strategies, so we'll see how they work. So listeners, I don't even want you to take this one. I want you to see it work first. We're going Steelers +12.5 at Cincy, Falcons +11.5 at home against the Saints. Saints have question marks, new head coach, Jameis coming back. What's that offense going to look like? Offseason, Michael Thomas, offseason stuff per usual. Alvin Kamara was maybe going to get suspended, but he'll be there. How much has he been integrated into the offense? Was he the plan for week 1? I don't see them really killing the Falcons, and you'll see this later too. I like Mariota. I think he's going to be fine, and I think he's going to play a style of football that keeps them in games. So to have them +11.5, and then the Steelers, a team who have been over 500 for like the longest streak in the NFL, against a team that just went to the Super Bowl, but that is a division game. Tensions are going to be high, 12.5 points, teasing that up like that, way too many points. And let's see what Trubisky can do, your boy.
Trubisky, he competes. Like, that's one thing that he competes his ass off. So I like the play, actually. I support.
Yeah, so we'll see how the Stay Hot teaser works. To end the show each week, we are going to be getting to the locks that Fanny Profits talked about, and then we're going to hit you with the Profits Parlay to end each episode. Yep. So, Than, run us quickly through what these locks are one more time, what they mean, and then let's talk about what our locks are for the week.
Yep. So, Combo, Deadbolt, and Mortis, the 3 locks, and they rank by strength of locks. So, a combination lock, just the locks that you grew up with on your locker. In grade school, high school.
Yeah, principal has the key to get right in. There's nothing.
Principal has the key to get on there. Sometimes it was really funny when your buddies would like flip the combination lock backwards, so you had to like go under it a little bit. You remember that?
It'd really jam it in there.
Yeah, really jam. Yeah. So and so the fact that the principal has the key, like every key, at the end of the day, or the janitor can just go and bring one of those like giant scissor things. I forget what they're called.
Bolt cutters.
The combination lock, while it is a strong lock and it works. Yep. Which is why it's still a lock.
It gets the job done.
These are the ranking. It's the third though. It's the last of the locks. So and then the Deadbolt, very strong lock. I personally have never gotten into a Deadbolt. I don't know how often you've tried to get into a Deadbolt, but
families across the country rely on a deadbolt to keep people out of their house. Yes. So this lock works. Can you get through it if you bring a giant battering ram? If you're going to search a house, sure.
Yeah.
But no one's getting through a deadbolt. Everyone, if someone's trying to get in your house, they're going through windows or something. No one tests the deadbolt.
No, that's the thing. You don't even test the deadbolt. You don't. You go through the glass. Good point there. And then the Mortis, obviously, I've done some research on the Mortis. The alloy that they're using in the Mortis these days, it's some of the strongest metal out on the market. If you need to really lock something up, go out there. They're going to run you a little expensive, but the mortise lock, it doesn't miss. Whatever you got locked behind the mortise, it's going to stay locked.
Yeah, and Thanny Profits, remind me, what's your mortise lock record?
5-1.
Oh, okay, 5-1.
Yeah, 5-1.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, listeners have paid their rent with my mortises.
Yeah.
I provide for the people of America. I like to think.
And these locks can be anything from player props to game lines, anything we like for the week, but they won't be future picks, really. They're just going to be something to play for that week. If you want to parlay them, go ahead. If you want to play them individually, pick which ones you like. Yeah. We're just here to give you the locks. We're playing them all, and we're going to keep ourselves honest by keeping track. So combination lock off the rip. You talked about them earlier, Than.
Yep. So Broncos, that was my future, but also they're playing who I think is going to be the worst team in the league this year in the Seahawks. Let's talk about the Seahawks since I already gave you why I think the Broncos are going to have a great year. The Seahawks are going to be really struggling at quarterback. Their quarterbacks this year are Geno Smith and Drew Lock. Geno Smith gets the nod there.
Real QB battle there.
Yeah, real QB battle. Neither of them are going to be as good as obviously Russell Wilson, and they've still struggled with Russell Wilson last year.
Yeah.
Also, they have a bottom 10 defense. Their O-line's not that good. Oh, and by the way, like the only player they have is DK. Like DK, I guess Tyler Lockett's pretty solid too, but you can make the case that Tyler Lockett was a pretty solid product of Russell Wilson, I think. I just don't see anything in the Seahawks this year, and the Broncos are the other end where I love the Broncos. So it's literally my favorite play of the year in the Broncos versus my least favorite play in the Seahawks. And so I love this line. I actually took it a month ago at -4.5. It since has moved to -6.5. So I wish the listeners could have caught the line that I did. But it's just all the more reason that line moving is just all the more reason why it's a money play,
Yeah, it's a big play. You got to think the Seahawks will be bad. You got to think Broncos might even be public, but to just be a touchdown there, Russell Wilson kind of revenge game, if you want to call it that. I mean, 6.5, you're taking that.
Yeah.
My combo lock, alluded to it earlier. Aaron Rodgers under 258.5 passing yards. Run you through real quick last year. In his first, so he doesn't play preseason. I talked about that. So let's say this guy played three-game preseason as weeks 1, 2, and 3. He went 133 yards in week 1, 255 yards, 261 yards. He's able to figure it out, but he has the weapons he's used to. And even in week 4, 248 yards. Again, this is a divisional game that I like to go under. I think Aaron Rodgers goes under the 258.5 passing yards. I really think the Packers are going to be dynamic this year in their rushing game. I don't think they're concerned about what their receivers are, but I think it will take time for the receivers to get settled in with Rodgers. Practice is one thing, a game is a whole nother one. So I need to see it first. I like his under here without normal weapons that he's used to.
Yep. And another thing, Ty, at all does his recent drug use play into this?
Now, the drugs happened away from football. I think, it helped clear his mind. He's in a great headspace. So actually, I think the drug usage hurts this bet. I think he's going to come in very clear-minded, and he's going to be ready because he's at peace. And you know what? I'm just so happy for him.
Yeah, well, my rebuttal to that is, what if every time that he talks about his drug use, he is indeed high? So then he's always feeling so high that on game day, maybe he's not high anymore. Maybe he's almost like withdrawing from the ayahuasca.
Right. Now, doesn't bother me in the slightest. Brett Favre played on perks all the time. Rodgers apparently saying he plays on the perks. W's are W's. Back-to-back MVP. He'll get it done.
Okay.
Moving on to the deadbolts here. I like Tua's longest completion over 34.5 yards.
Good pick.
Wild play. Why are you doing that? Because I believe in the Dolphins. I believe in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill around Tua. Here's, if I could parlay this and how it happens, this is going to happen. Motion, Tyreek Hill, backside. He's going to run a little comeback route 5-yard deep. If he's not catching the ball, we got Jalen Waddle on the other side. I think this is going to be caught like 5 yards down the field, and we're going to see the receivers go.
Yeah.
The average yard per reception for Tyreek Hill has been over 10 yards for the past 5 years. Jalen Waddle was like right at 10 yards last year. These guys get the ball, and they're great when they have it in their hands and making stuff happen. this isn't a believe in Tua bet. This is a believe in the receiver bet. So I think this happens.
I love this, and I didn't know you had this till you just said it. Tyreek Hill is the fastest player in NFL football. He's the best deep threat to take the top off the defense. It could happen through the air too.
Yeah.
Or he could just catch a screen pass and take it 35 yards.
Right. Yeah. I like that it can happen both ways. I like that they're dynamic. Yeah. Like you said. Then it's the problem. Does Tua put it on him when it's down the field? But he's an NFL quarterback. You hope he can do that.
Hope he can do that. I like that pick.
What do you got?
Yeah, this one's a Kyle Pitts play. Popular guy coming around in fantasy, but with the volumes there is going to be great, especially with Calvin Ridley out. He should be the number one target down there in Atlanta. And I know you like Mariota, so I'm assuming you'll like this a little bit. Did you see the picture he came out with on Twitter recently? It was a play. Allen Iverson play. You'll have to look it up. He's got his shirt off, and not to get all weird, but he's just a fucking monster. Like he looks like a beast. And he's sitting there in like boxer shorts. He redid like an Allen Iverson picture, and it just made all the more confidence in the world. This guy's going to be money this year. Over 59.5 receiving yards. I think this line's low. Basically just because he's still young.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. He's one of the best athletes on the field at all times, and he's thought of as a tight end when he really lines up just as much at receiver. Right. He's not out there blocking. They're going to be passing the ball. He's their shiny weapon that they love so much down there, and they're going to try to use him. I like him over 59.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, so far we're 4-0, so and these Mortises are guaranteed to hit.
Yeah.
So real quick for me, talked about the guy, Mariota. He's going over 26.5 rush yards. I watched him a little bit in preseason. He likes to move. Last year brought in with the Raiders just to rush pretty much, add a different element. So we know he can run. I think he might be a little careful job security-wise because they drafted a QB, and obviously you have a greater risk of injury when you're out there running. I think he wants to keep his job, but if you want to keep your job, you got to win. You got to move the chains. We're talking divisional game like I keep talking about. I think you find ways to win in those games even more. They mean more. I like him over 26.5 rush yards.
Yep, good play. I like Mariota. He's still a good athlete.
Yeah. Finish us off. This one's guaranteed. If you're taking one play, you're taking this one from Thandy Profits.
Yep. This is my play. This is my Mortis this week. They're 5-1 in the past. Again, I expect my record to go to 6-1. Brandon Cooks over 60.5 receiving yards. I got that line last night. I rechecked it just before this podcast. It's up to 61.5.
Yo, you move lines.
I literally am moving lines, and I catch them beforehand. So get this while you can. DraftKings has it at 61.5. I still love it. I predict him going into the upper 70s. For receiving yards. Davis Mills down there. Have you been seeing what they say about this guy?
Let me tell you what I say about this guy, and I've been saying it all off season. He's a winner. Davis Mills is a winner. This guy, I didn't give it out. This guy's going over on his passing yards, over on his passing touchdowns. They won't go over on wins because Lovie Smith is coaching there, and he's a horrible coach. Yeah. But Davis Mills can play, and he's going to be a quarterback on that team. If they do anything otherwise, they're wrong for it.
Yeah, no, and I almost feel like people don't hop on Davis Mills because he's got such a bland name
and such a long neck. People hate his neck.
Yeah, him and Glennon. Just because Glennon had a long neck does not mean that he's going to be bad. Because he was bad doesn't mean that Davis Mills
helps him see over the line, and that's more body that the defensive rushers can't hit.
Exactly. He might draw the most penalties in the league.
Yes,
this year.
He will.
So Brandon Cooks is a product of being the number one target for Davis Mills this year. I mean, Damian Pierce is their shiny new running back, but at the same time, he's a rookie. Let's be honest, Brandon Cooks is the number one target in the offense, and Davis Mills is going to be slinging that thing this year. I like him over 60.5 receiving yards this week. That's the Mortis lock, folks.
All right, and then really quick to end it, Profits Parlay. This one's coming at you at plus 200 for the listeners. Derrick Henry touchdown, Brandon Cooks over 60.5 receiving yards. That's going to be an easy winner, 2-for-1 money time. If you look at that includes Thans Mortis and Derrick Henry to score a touchdown on a team that relies on him heavy. That's an easy winner.
Yep.
Final thoughts heading out. Thank you to the listeners. We're only going to get better, and we're already great.
Yep. Exciting first show, Ty. It was a pleasure.
All right, until next time.